Hi, I'm Pamela Wilcox, the creator of this presentation and Career Foundry UX design student. I'll be taking you through this short journey into design thinking and Brave New Words. Brave New Words is an interactive vocabulary learning mobile app. The app is developed for a target audience of 18 through 24-year-old high school and college students. After researching competitor vocabulary mobile apps already in the marketplace and interviewing potential users in the target audience, it was found that there are some needs and wants unfulfilled for this group of users. Brave New Words employs methods and styles of learning that include learning vocabulary through reading excerpts from college literature, current news articles, biographies, song lyrics, and playing games. Flashcard vocabulary words are available for learning by subject matter relevant to high school, college, and graduate school students. My first steps into the unknown of design thinking process and vocabulary apps started with doing some research on competitor apps. I downloaded and onboarded 8 different vocabulary apps and examined their various features and assessed strengths and weaknesses. This helped me understand the product space I would be working in. In keeping with the design thinking process, I then observed by interviewing potential users. I chose 5 college students from freshman to grad school. Our conversations were engaging and enlightening, and I learned a lot about what they needed and wanted from a vocabulary app. Meet Sebastian, our primary persona. He is a hands-on practical learner, and his primary way to learn vocabulary is reading news articles, classic literature, even graphic novels. Sebastian said, "I want an app that will help me develop my vocabulary in everyday life and in my courses for my upcoming transition to college." Some of his needs and wants are that he wants a customizable app. He likes to learn based on subjects. He also likes reading as a learning style. He wants to develop better vocabulary for term papers, and he's a little short on time, and he needs to have no distractions. The project brief is to create a mobile vocabulary app for busy students, something that gives them a variety of ways to practice, learn, and retain vocabulary that is relevant to what they're studying. The way to truly test my problem and hypothesis statements is early engagement with my target audience. Through surveys, interviews, card sorting, and testing, I learn what users need and how they think and behave. The problem statement for Sebastian is that he needs to learn words based on subjects, add words while in class, and study in short increments uninterrupted. We believe that by adding and creating a customized category of vocabulary words based on Sebastian's courses and allowing him to add his own words during class will make Sebastian's experience more individualized and relevant for his college experience. Sebastian is busy, and he needs to develop his vocabulary to a college level so that his conversations and written papers will reflect more of a mature content and style as well as his class discussions. The challenge for Sebastian has been that he wants to be organized and learn vocabulary based on subjects, and he's easily distracted. Sebastian is a busy student and has only a short amount of time to study, so he needs to quiet the notifications and distractions in his life. He told me, "While in my marketing class, I constantly bombarded with new words and terminology. I want to add new words to the already existing marketing vocabulary subject set so I can review and test myself on the words. I also want my study time to be efficient, effective, and uninterrupted by social media and email notifications." Pivotal to reaching the user flow is card sorting. I employed this method to reach a user-centered design to understand user needs and how they think and behave. I used a computer-based card sorting site first called optimalworkshop.com. The card sort was open with 14 invitees and only 9 participants actually did the job. The figures 1 and 2 are the visuals from the card sort. I also used a physical card sort, which is figure 3. You see I shuffled the cards and then put them into baggies and distributed them to my participants. I used 2 open and 3 closed, but with 80 word cards to sort. I created a user flow for the entire vocabulary app navigation using the results from these user card sorts. It was great. It was really helpful. But for our purposes here, I've only displayed the user flows for two tasks that were gleaned from the persona information. Task analysis 1 and 2 are both the happy paths to get to success and a finished task. Task 1, studying vocabulary words based on college level marketing course. The entry point was to open the app as an existing user and to go through the marketing flashcards and practice the words and then test on them. And the results would be displayed, and it would show what learned words were mastered and what were still need to be learned. And then the words are saved. Task number 2, turn on the Do Not Disturb feature to block notifications from outside tests, email, and social media during study time. The entry point was to open the app as an existing user and to go through the special features, choose the Do Not Disturb feature and activate it, either repeat daily, yes or no, and set the time and the day, and then save it. The wireframes are sketches that show the path that Sebastian, our persona, would take that will allow him to log in as an existing user, choose flashcards learning style for subject vocabulary practicing, test, and getting results. The medium fidelity wireframes on the right were used in the screens for the prototype, reflecting the same task. Wireframe sketches were created for the path for Sebastian, our persona, to use the Do Not Disturb feature. Early on, he had made it clear his studies were in small increments and that he wanted his short time to be uninterrupted from messages and other distractions. So the path would be for Sebastian to take to log in as an existing user and go to the feature navigation to select Do Not Disturb and then select the daily options, the time end, and the sound alert options and save. Again, the medium fidelity wireframes were used in the prototype, and they're still a work in progress. The usability testing, the scope was the first test for the Brave New Words, and after that, sessions were moderated and in 15 minutes in length over 3 days with 5 participants. The equipment for the meeting was to be computers with Zoom meetings and FaceTime, and the participants will also be testing the app on their mobile phone while I could see them and observe and make notes. The prototype tests were created in POP, and the sessions were not recorded. The direct tasks were 1, open the app and log in as an existing user. 2, choose a learning style to study by subject area. 3, set Do Not Disturb feature for daily use. And 4, add a new vocabulary word to a subject set. Yes, there were failures, lots of them. I'll go over just a few at this point because I don't think I want to bore you with all of them. But number 1 was to make the whole line clickable. This was an interesting story because my user was right-handed. I'm a lefty, so I didn't even think about this, but he's right-handed and he holds the phone with his right hand and uses his thumb to hit the radio buttons. He couldn't reach them, so it was frustrating because he couldn't click the rest of the line, which he was expecting. So I determined I needed to fix that before the next test and make the whole line clickable. Also, there were comments made about sometimes the titles look like buttons, and I think that's because I need to change them, either extend that ribbon to make it a banner all the way across or get rid of it altogether. I think I also had the corners softened, and they probably looked like buttons, so that makes sense, and that will be fixed as well. The next one was people wanted to, on the flashcard, they wanted to see a sound icon next to the word so they could actually hear the word pronounced, and that will be added as well. I'll be adding that to all the flashcards. And one of the other problems was just above the photo, there was a next or test button, and Everyone said it was a little bit confusing, so my recommendation for that was to put them as two separate buttons, and eventually they'll be two different colors. At this point, we're just black and white. But number 3, the words needed to save automatically. A lot of the users didn't want to have to deal with saving their words. I said, okay, great. The lessons ended. Can it save them automatically? So yes, that will be fixed. Another recommendation there will be to save the words automatically to the bank of words which they were studying from, which in this case was marketing. And then the box that says, do you want to leave or you want to log out, was surprising to everyone because apparently none of the users that tested this actually log out of their apps. They just close them and that's it. So they were like, why do I need this box? Apparently they don't log out of apps unless it's a financial app. So that one will be fixed as well. And the last one is for the do not disturb. A lot of half of the people said they wanted actually more things for it. Like they liked what it did, but they thought, well, if you could start and end it both with an alert, because then that gives you the ability to know when your time window is that you're supposed to be studying. Because I only had an ending. They wanted a beginning alert as well. And then the other half of them didn't want any of that. They just wanted a toggle on off. I don't need all this extra stuff. So my solution to that was one press would be just the toggle, and then if you press and hold, it would display the menu so you could do a daily, pick a day and a time for daily practices. Now, as far as my resolution and the summary of this is onboarding, I felt like onboarding kind of got neglected. Onboarding, I feel like needs to be fleshed out really well for the next test prototype. Since the users really couldn't see or test it, some of the things that they had mentioned were actually going to be part of the onboarding process, which would be a quick instructional screen. And this is where users could choose the learning level at the very beginning that they wanted to study throughout the rest of the time they were on the app, like middle school, high school, college. And the other one was a task. I felt like a task needed to be developed for the results icon, which was at the bottom of the navigation bar. And there was a lot of functionality planned for that section that users didn't get to see. So users would be able to find their own learning progressions. They would get results. They would have, based on subject matter, also they would have, users would learn words, what words were mastered, which were still learning, which needed more practice, and then a review category as well. So the next steps were to create a new user flow for the entire app navigation, fix all the failures and create a new prototype, create a home page to explain the app features, and lastly, create a new user flow for the new user onboarding. Oh, so what did I learn, you ask? Well, what didn't I learn? I learned a lot, actually. I had a much longer list of pros. I discovered lots of new tools for researching, wireframing, and prototyping. Also, asking the right questions during the interview phase of the research I found was key. The usability testing truly does reveal not only unexpected results, but surprising ones, like the whole right-handed, left-handed, the thumb that didn't reach the radio button. Less is more when designing apps, and being an excellent listener and researcher is a good trait for a UX designer. The cons, well, I won't be using InVision for prototyping anytime soon. Live and learn. Lots of reasons why. There's a tremendous amount of writing involved in UX, a skill for me to sharpen, and being left-handed designer comes with its own set of issues when designing apps. Users are very literal when testing a prototype, that I learned, and an open card sort for researching navigation and user flows is not as useful as a closed one, so that I learned. But I do thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks.